Aphorism 59, Organon of Medicine. Important symptoms of persistent diseases have never yet been treated with such palliative antagonistic remedies without the opposite state, a relapse, indeed a palpable aggravation of the malady occurring a few hours afterwards. For a persistent tendency to sleepiness during the day, the physician prescribed coffee, whose primary action is to enliven, and when it had exhausted its action, the day's somnolence increased. For frequent waking at night, he gave in the evening, without heeding the other symptoms of the disease, opium, which, by virtue of its primary action, produced the same night stupefied dull sleep, but the subsequent nights were still more sleepless than before. To chronic diarrheas he opposed, without regarding the other morbid signs, the same opium whose primary action is to constipate the bowels, and after a transient stoppage of the diarrhea, it subsequently became all the worse. Violent and frequently recurring pains of all kinds he could suppress with opium for but a short time. They then always returned in greater, often intolerable severity, or some much worse affection came in their stead. For nocturnal cough of long standing, the ordinary physician knew no better than to administer opium, whose primary action is to suppress every irritation. The cough would then perhaps cease the first night, but during the subsequent nights it would be still more severe, and if it were again and again suppressed by the palliative in increased doses, fever and nocturnal perspiration were added to the disease. Weakness of the bladder with consequent retention of urine was sought to be conquered by the antipathic work of cantharides to stimulate the urinary passages, whereby evacuation of the urine was certainly at first effected, but thereafter the bladder becomes less capable of stimulation and less able to contract, and paralysis of the bladder is imminent. With large doses of purgative drugs and laxative salts, which excite the bowels to frequent evacuation, it was sought to remove a chronic tendency to constipation, but in the secondary action, the bowels became still more confined. The ordinary physician seeks to remove chronic debility by the administration of wine, which, however, stimulates only in its primary action, and hence the forces sink all the lower in the secondary action. By bitter substances and heating condiments, he tries to strengthen and warm the chronically weak and cold stomach. But in the secondary action of these palliatives, which are stimulating in their primary action, only the stomach becomes yet more inactive. Long-standing deficiency of vital heat and chilly disposition ought surely to yield to prescription of warm baths, but still more weak, cold and chilly do the patients subsequently become. Severely burnt parts feel instantaneous alleviation from the application of cold water, but the burning pain afterwards increases to an incredible degree, and the inflammation spreads and rises to a still greater height. By means of sneezing remedies that provoke a secretion of mucus, coryza with stoppage of the nose of long standing is out to be removed, but it escapes observation that the disease is aggravated all the more by these antagonistic remedies in their secondary action, and the nose becomes still more stopped by electricity and galvanism, with in their primary action greatly stimulate muscular action. Chronically weak and almost paralytic limbs were soon excited to more active movements, but the consequence, the secondary action, was complete deadening of all muscular irritability and complete paralysis. By many sections, it was attempted to remove chronic determination of blood to the head, but they were always followed by great congestion. Ordinary medical practitioners know nothing better with which to treat the paralytic torpor of the corporeal and mental organs, conjoined with unconsciousness, which prevails in many kinds of typhus, than with large doses of valerian, because this is one of the most powerful medicinal agents for causing animation and increasing the motor faculty. In their ignorance, however, they knew not that this action is only a primary action, and that the organism, after that is passed, most certainly falls back in the secondary antagonistic action into still greater stupor and immobility, that is to say, into paralysis of the mental and corporeal organs and death. They did not see that the very diseases they supplied most plentifully with valerian, which is in such cases an oppositely acting antipathic remedy, most never falling terminated fatally. The old school physician rejoices that he is able to reduce for several hours the velocity of the small rapid pulse in cachectic patients with the very first dose of uncombined purple foxglove, which in its primary action makes the pulse slower. Its rapidity, however, soon returns repeated and now increased doses effect an even smaller diminution of its rapidity, and at length none at all. Indeed, in the secondary action, the pulse becomes uncountable. Sleep, appetite, and strength depart, and a speedy death is invariably the result, or else insanity ensures. How often, in one word, the disease is aggravated, or something even worse is affected by the secondary action of such antagonistic antipathic remedies. The old school, with its false theories, does not perceive, but experience teaches it in a terrible manner.